These are notes 12.1 Introduction to Solid Geometry. A lot of the vocab on here would be good to make note cards. So let's start with a polyhedron. A polyhedron is a solid that is bound by polygons. And the solids that we're talking about are going to be three-dimensional figures. Okay. So a polyhedron's a three-dimensional figure, a solid, that is bound by polygons. We name polyhedrons by the shape of its bases. Platonic solids are going to be solids that have the same congruent regular polygons. So in this picture of platonic solids, a tetrahedron, if you look at each one of the bases, they're all the same. So this would be a base, this would be a base, and they're all regular, meaning they have congruent angles and congruent sides. Cube, same thing, but this time it's a square base. Here we have another triangle, and a dodecahedron would actually be a pentagonal base. Okay. So when we talk about solids in this unit, we're going to talk about 5 main solids. One would be a sphere. Okay. The other one would be a pyramid. The next one is a cone. Then we have a cylinder. And then a prism. Okay. And specifically, I wrote these different colors because the ones that are not polyhedrons are going to be a sphere, a cone, and a cylinder. There we go. A cylinder. Our polyhedrons that we're going to focus on today will be a pyramid and prisms. So a prism, if we look at the definition, it's a polyhedron, okay, formed by two parallel congruent polygons called bases. Right? And they're going to be connected by faces that are parallelograms. So this part is really important to decipher, is it a prism or a pyramid? Okay. So for example, in this picture we have a prism. Okay. We have, this would be called a face. Okay, because it's surrounded by faces. The bases, this would be a base. Will help us name the prism. Okay, so to identify a face, if you think of this is going to have 4 sides. All 4 of those sides are faces. Then an edge would be this guy. And a vertex, you guys, a vertex is a point, so this could be a vertex. You have multiple vertices on any polyhedron. All right, and let's go ahead and name it. So our base tells us how to name it. So this one is special because it could be a rectangular or a square prism. All right, let's look at the next thing on our list for polyhedrons is a pyramid. So a pyramid formed by a polygonal base and triangular faces that meet at a common vertex. So the main difference between a pyramid and a prism is that the faces are going to be triangular on a pyramid, and a prism, the faces are going to be a parallelogram. Okay. So first identify the face. Well, if we look here, this part right here would be a face. All four of these are faces. An edge, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 edges in this diagram. A vertex, let's make this one specifically the common vertex. And our base is what's going to tell us what type of pyramid this is. So this would be the base. Okay. So our base is rectangular. Okay, so it's going to be a rectangular pyramid. Now, part of this unit is taking these solids and being able to unfold them and fold them back together and match what type of solid they are given two different pictures. So if we unfold it, we call this a net. So a net is the unfolded part of this. Let's say this is unfolded. We unfold it. We get what's called a net. So it's a diagram of the faces of a 3D figure arranged in such a way that the diagram can be folded to form a 3D figure. Okay, so a net's all about how do I make this into a solid. Okay, so for number one, let's look at the bases. All right, so this is going to be a base, this is a base. All right, and if you look at this up here, if I fold it together, it's going to look like our prism example up here. We have 4 parallel sides, or parallelogram sides. So this would be a square / rectangular pyramid, or prism. got ahead of myself there. Prism, because we have parallelograms that are the faces. So I'm going to write face here so we know what we're talking about here. All right, this one, this is the base. And this one looks more like a square to me, so this is going to be a square pyramid because all the faces are pyramids. Or, not pyramids, triangles. So here we're going to write square, pyramid. Number 3, notice here that we have two bases that are the same, and that's going to be how we name this net. And these are trapezoids, so this will be a trapezoidal prism. All right, let's take a look at the back. We have a couple more examples. All right, just in case you didn't get the front part here. Square prism, square pyramid, trapezoidal prism, and now we're looking at the back. Number 4, this will actually be the face. Right, because there's 3, and if I were to fold it together, I'm going to have 2 bases. And so this one is actually going to be a triangular prism. Number 5, we have 2 pentagons here as our bases. And parallelograms as each face. So this will also be a prism. So this will be a pentagonal prism. Because our bases are pentagons. Okay, now this last one we threw in there, that's not going to be a prism or a pyramid, but let's start this one because if I were to fold this up, what shape do you think it would be? What shape would have 2 circles as the base? And if you guessed right, it will be a cylinder. Okay. The last part of our introduction to this unit will be the cross-section. So a cross-section is the intersection of a solid and a plane, and what we're going to do is figure out what the cross section of each of these shapes will look like. So this first one, we're going to do a horizontal cross section and a vertical cross section. So our cross sections are going to be planes that intersect the solid, right? That's our definition. So let's start with the horizontal. So if I draw a plane around this, it's going to be the shape of a circle, right? So I'm just going to draw the shape. if I were to draw a vertical plane that would go through this, the shape that would come out is if I draw from here to each point, it's going to become a semicircle. Let's try the cone. So a cone, if I take a horizontal slice of it, think of your cross sections as taking a slice through your solid. I get another circle. It doesn't matter where I take the cross section. And then if I look at a vertical cross section, and I go up to this point and back down to the back of the cone here, I end up with a triangle as my cross section. Let's take a look at the cylinder. So here, if I take a horizontal cross section, I'll get another circle. But a vertical cross section is if I were to intersect a plane, so it'd go through straight here to here and back. So this is actually a parallelogram. And last but not least, let's take a look at this triangular prism. So a horizontal cross section would mean if I go horizontally across from here to here, end up with another right triangle. So something that will look like the two bases. Okay. And a vertical cross section, let's say I go from this side here to here, I end up with another parallelogram. All right, and that's it for cross sections. Okay, so think if I were to take a slice through it vertically or horizontally, what shape will I get? Okay. Don't forget to look at your calendar for the homework.